If you're new to motorcycles, just getting back into it, or heck, you've been riding a while, maybe you're looking to get into a different kind of biking, like you're going from streets off-road or something like that, it is always helpful to have a mentor. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey in getting back into biking. Some of the mentors I've been fortunate to have, and hopefully also encourage you, if you get an opportunity, and I say a privilege, to mentor somebody or having somebody reaching out for you for some mentorship, either just to get started or hell, even get into a different kind of riding. I just highly encourage you, if you have that chance. It's really helpful. Again, I'll start with a little bit of my motorcycle journey. I grew up in Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska, as a young guy, and the riding season was pretty limited, right? I mean, you've got maybe 3 months out of the year to get out and get riding while things are still sunny and the snow is melted away, so not a whole lot of opportunity. And to be honest with you, as a kid, I always wanted a motorcycle. I tried to get my parents to support that, and they weren't really supportive of them. Even though my dad was a rider, it was a little spendy at that time for us, and the riding season was short. And the way I think my mom looked at it was, if I had a couple dollars to spend, or if we had some dollars to spend, it'd be more helpful to get a car, because that was useful year-round up there. And so that never really panned out. Skip ahead, run off to college, then join the military. September 11th kicks off, then most of my young adult life with family and military stuff, and just always had that on my mind. I wanted to get back into riding, and just let life get real busy, so never really did. I had a deployment to West Africa, and during that deployment, I just had an epiphany. I don't know what it was, but I found the ability to meditate, kind of clear my mind. I can't explain it, but I just all of a sudden just had this clarity that, man, I did not have balance in my life, and I needed to do things a little bit differently, and it was pretty terrific. I just realized, like, there's some changes I needed to make. I was super excited to get back home and celebrate that, and kind of show my wife, like, yeah, look, I discovered all these things, and I'm really I got this new approach to life. And I got back, and man, I tell you, you get, sometimes when you're in the military, being out there in operations can sometimes be more easily navigated than your home life. So I got back, and man, things were just super complicated between work, between home, and I had discovered this ability, right, to kind of find that meditative balance, but I was having a hard time essentially finding it, and my mind kept going back to getting back on getting on a bike. I was really lucky. I had 2 colleagues in my unit who were both MSF instructors, so Motorcycle Safety Foundation instructors, and just good darn people, and avid experienced riders. And I mentioned to them that, hey, I've always wanted to get my license and get on a bike, and I'd ridden around as a kid a little bit with friends' bikes here and there, but never really had a license and never really got after it. And of course, when you talk to other bikers and you're interested in biking, they are obviously very encouraging, and they were. And they're the main guy I was talking to. I'll leave his name out of it, but he was like, hey, look, we got a class coming up. Why don't you just take the class? Essentially got my license, that shot at it. That same friend, he was like, so what are you gonna do for your first bike? And I was like, man, I have no earthly idea. And for some reason, I just happen to find friends who just have garages full of motorcycles that they don't ride, or they're not riding as much, and they're happy to pass on, I guess. So he mentioned, hey, look, I've got this Victory Highball. It's a lot of bike, it's got 8 hangers, but maybe you want to come give it a shot. And I was like, yeah, let me go you gotta try it. So anyway, granted, I haven't ridden forever. It's essentially, officially my first bike, right? So I go ride it, and I loved it, man. I thought it was awesome. So essentially, the first bike that I got into was an American V Twin, a big old Victory highball bobber style bike with ape hangers, which is probably not the most optimum of first bikes, but I mean, I didn't know any different, right? And to be honest with you, I thought it was great. And what was really, helpful, I think, in that entire time was anytime I had a question, anytime I needed advice, I had him there, and I had another friend of mine who was also an MSF instructor, both in the same unit, and they were both always readily available. If I had questions, if I wanted to go on a ride, they'd go on rides with me. I tell you, when I first started getting back into it, I just wasn't comfortable riding on my own, and they were always up for like, hey, you want to go for a ride? We'll set up a group ride. Or the friend who actually got me started and sold me that bike was always happy on a weekend or sometime to go ride with me, or if I want to connect with him on the way to work, we could do that. And man, it just got me feeling super comfortable. And I remember thinking at that time, like, riding on my own seemed really intimidating, and it took a little while of again, riding with him, getting my confidence up, seeing different things. And at some point I was like, okay, I'm ready to go off on my own a little bit and just kind of do my own thing. And then the other thing, I think having a motorcycle mentor who's also an MSF instructor is always also helpful, in the sense that he was like, hey, you need to be thinking of taking the advanced course, and he would tell me, just like I think if you talk to instructors, they'll say, hey, you've got some skills now, but what people end up doing is they really never advance beyond the skills they have in the beginning, right? They pretty much ride the way they started out, for even though they've got 20 years of experience, they've got 20 years of their first year experience just repeated over and over, and they don't really they don't really take classes and stretch themselves and challenge themselves and work with mentors and try different things. They never really improve, right? And so I thought, yeah, heck yeah, I want to do that. And so at the minimum possible, when I got enough, I think, I forget how long I had under my belt before I finally, it wasn't very long, it was less than 2 years. I decided, hey, I asked them, hey, can we set up a, because they could actually set up an advanced course, kind of a military run advanced course. And so we did for the folks in our unit, and they hosted it, which was outstanding. And so, again, that got me the opportunity to gain a whole host of new and valuable skills that I really needed. I wonder what's going on up here. It doesn't look good. And so again, that was super helpful. When I got into off-road riding, I did the same. I found a group of friends who were also into off-road riding, and started in a local organization over here, and taking an off-road class and finding a group of off-road riders here, which was again, really helpful. And then reached out, funny, as soon as I got my this 850 GS, and reached out to a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a long time, who was living in Texas, living in nearby Austin. I reached out, it's like, hey man, check out my my newest bike. It was really at that point my only bike, right? I moved here, I'd gotten rid of all my other bikes and picked this thing up. And he was like, no way, dude, I just bought a KTM 1290. And he's like, remember our other friend, and again, I'll leave their names out of it, he's like, he just got a Triumph Tiger off-road bike. And I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty that's pretty serendipitous. And he's like, man, we should plan a trip. We should go do an off-road riding trip or something sometime. And I thought, hell, that sounds awesome. And what's funny is, so I had taken a class, my friend who I had reached out to had not taken a class, but he's a super smart guy, so he went online and looked up different skills, and he would go practice those skills on his own, and that's the kind of guy he is. He's pretty good at that sort of thing. And our third friend, who was going to join us on this, we decided to make this trip. He was relatively new, and but obviously open to us throwing some knowledge his way. And I'll tell you, I mean, we acted as, and here's the thing, between the two of them, they had tons of more, I would say probably 20 more years experience than I had in riding. But I had something to offer them too. I had some classes and some skills on off-road, and they were like, hey, come, I would love if you could basically teach us, what did you learn, and help us learn some new skills. So on this trip, I actually had that opportunity. I had the opportunity to act as a mentor to them, and which kind of goes to show that you don't have to be the biggest gray beard of the group in riding. If you have something to share, you have some way to mentor them, that's obviously very valuable. So again, I had that opportunity. And so I got to tell you, in my experience, just having these people around, one, and the idea that I was willing to reach out to them for mentorship, they were very awesome to provide that mentorship. I think it helped me mature in my riding. It helped me become a much better rider, a safer rider. I wasn't, as I would say, intimidated by a lot of the things that I had to do. I had to kind of reach, anytime I had a question about the bikes or maintenance or who knows what, and to be honest with you, I've forgotten a lot of my, first new rider questions that I had back in the day, but I know for a fact, I had them, and they were always a text message away, some great advice away. They were always willing to throw together a ride, or hey man, let's just go. You and me, I'll take you on a scenic route here to there, and just get real comfortable. So I was able to really put on those hours. And here's the thing about having those sort of mentors, right? Is that I was really having good motorcycling behavior modeled for me. But all that to say, getting started, it was super helpful having that mentorship. And I think if this community is going to grow and thrive, it's going to grow and thrive by people seeking mentorship, folks providing that mentorship towards riding, and passing it on to new riders, and teaching them and helping them find the skills to feel comfortable getting on the road, riding on their own, and trying new things. Join a riding club. Those are always places where people are really, really helpful. I've been a part of both BMW and Harley riding clubs. I'm still a HOG member and a BMW Owners of America member. And man, I tell you, the folks there have been just nothing on both of those groups, just nothing but awesome, full of great, helpful information. So I would highly encourage you, if you're starting out looking for mentorship, those are places where you could easily find really great people. So all right, again, go out there, find your mentor, provide mentorship to someone, pass that along. Let's help grow this community. I think it makes us, again, makes us all better. So with that, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Ooh, look at that view. My God. Gotta love the hills of Austin.